Sport Federation TV. We're, of course, carrying on talking about our federations in the Western Cape. And certainly what's happening at the moment is federations are staying active. We know it's COVID, but federations are being very careful out there and doing their very best to stay engaged with their athletes. And, of course, as you know, Equestrian Sports has been on the show with us many times, and we keep trying to speak to our federations across the Western Cape, across the districts. And equestrian is a big sport, multiple codes, and we've had a number of top equestrian athletes on the show with us. And staying with that format, equestrian had a big event in Stellenbosch last weekend, and unfortunately she was not able to compete in the event. But we've got Karin Koep, dressage competitor from Equestrian Sports, on the line with us. Karin, how are things there with you?
Hi, good morning, JP. Everything is good here. Thank you.
Karin, the first time for us to have you on the show. Let's start at the beginning before we talk about Saturday's event that you had at Stellenbosch, which I believe, by the way, was very successful. Just tell us a little bit about yourself as a competitor.
Oh, well, so I've been competing in dressage for, I don't know, longer than I can remember. I've represented the Western Cape in dressage teams in provincial and national competitions. And I ride professionally, so I train and I breed horses. So I'm really a big part of breeding, producing and competing dressage horses.
Well, it certainly looks like you're coming to us from the right venue. Where? Tell us a little bit about where you are.
Okay, so this is my office behind me, where I normally spend about 8 hours a day training horses. I have a stud farm in Kylmore, which is in the Bunnock Valley, where I have about 70 horses, which I breed with and from. And we do everything here, from having them born to producing them to selling them and competing them. We compete here as well. This is a registered dressage competition venue.
Fantastic. Karin, just tell us a little bit about that. We've had a number of your athletes on the show with us. Renata van Ryswyk and Naomi Miller and Sylvia Buckner, your president, of course, of Western Cape Equestrian, and a number of different codes, even going so far as to talk about mounted archery. Now, dressage and showing and eventing, you've got to have to explain to us, as your format, dressage, what exactly is dressage?
Okay, so, how I normally explain it is dressage, show jumping, eventing, and vaulting are Olympic equestrian disciplines. So they're basically disciplines that are represented in the Olympic Games. Dressage is, if you like to call it, it's ballet on horseback. So you have a set arena, which is 20 by 60 meters with markers at specific areas. And the dressage rider has to communicate to his horse which exercise or movement has to be performed at that marker. And at every marker, you get a mark out of 10 by the judge. And at the end of the day, the accuracy and the way in which you did the movement on your horse gets you good scores or bad scores.
How many judges?
So I liken it to, in show jumping, you have a jump, you jump certain jumps, and in dressage, it's you have to perform a movement at every marker. And at every level, those movements become more difficult, more technical, and are now weighted and rated as such.
So tell us a little bit about the event. You had a big event in Stellenbosch this past weekend?
Yes, the Western Cape Dressage Championships were held at the Stellenbosch District Riding Club in the district of the Cape Winelands. It was actually an event that was supposed to have happened a month ago, and then due to bad weather, it was postponed to this particular weekend. Basically, you don't have to qualify for the event. Anyone in the Western Cape who's registered with Dressage SA can compete for the individual Western Cape title in your particular level. Obviously, having a championship like this during this year from COVID was a challenge, but it was amazing that it could be held at all. I think a lot of competitions elsewhere were sort of not able to be held, but Dressage SA and Western Cape Dressage made it possible for this event to take place.
We also understand that this year with the COVID, things were a little bit different, and for you to reach and showcase the event, you guys did some live streaming.
Yes, was a total new experience. So Western Cape Equestrian Federation decided to do a live streaming practice run, I think a week or so back for the DSA challenge, and it worked quite well. And during that time, I was just after my accident, so I watched the live streaming from my house. And this time around at the Western Cape Dressage Champs, Kelly Hunter from Western Cape Equestrian Federation asked me if I would do the live streaming. And first I thought, I'm going to be really upset that I'm going to be at a show and I'm not going to compete, and it's going to be terrible watching everyone. But I actually really enjoyed it, and I think it's a fantastic thing to get used to doing, because in that way also I think the Western Cape opens itself up to be watched and competitive with other provinces at the same time. Normally when we go to SA championships, we don't know what to expect because we haven't seen our fellow competitors from other provinces compete, so we don't know what we have. And with live streaming, I think that would make the country even smaller. And I think obviously due to COVID, it's really the only way to go, because we're not allowed spectators at these shows. You're allowed to bring your groom, so the person who looks after your horse, your driver, the person who trucks your horse, and that's it. So no spectators are allowed, which makes it weird because no one's applauding, no one's really watching. There's not much of this competitive spirit going on, which makes it quite strange to compete under those circumstances.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if I may just mention that due to no spectators, it's a less of a spectator sport at the moment, and to get sponsors to sponsor these big events is a privilege. So at the Western Cape Dressage Championships, we now had Dormel Construction give us great sponsorship, and as well as the Western Cape municipality for the first time.
Yes, yes. Karin, we obviously, how did we do? How did we do as Western Cape athletes? Have we got the champions coming through the ranks? Are we bringing back the medals?
So it's always a very interesting thing, because obviously Gauteng has a lot of competitors and a lot of horses, and Western Cape has a rather small pool. But whenever we go compete at SA Champs, which is most of the time in Gauteng or Natal, the Western Cape is right at the top. I mean, we've got top horses in the Western Cape. We've got super riders. We've got a lot of dedicated people who dedicate themselves to the sport. Yeah. And the sport, unfortunately, in this country is more of a luxury sport rather than part of our culture, which it is in Europe. So no, Western Cape is right on top.
Karin, what comes next now? We know that COVID is, of course, a concern for everybody. The restrictions are very, very tight. Things are difficult. It is also considered to be a little bit of a holiday period and festive period. But have you got plans for the next few weeks, or even going into 2021?
Yes, absolutely. So yesterday evening was, or this week, I think it was on Tuesday, was a meeting of show holding bodies in the Western Cape, deciding when the next competitions will be and where for the next year, including Western Cape Championships again, the Freestyle Championships, SA Champs. So we're going to carry on as if COVID is not going to be around, and direct our movements as such. Yeah. So that's already been planned the next year. And so a lot of people go on holiday now. Horses are also given a bit of a break because it's been quite an intensive year of training because of fewer shows, and due to the lockdown, a lot of horses have worked more intensely this last year than they would normally in a year. So I think a well-deserved break for horses and riders is on the cards.
Karin, we'll leave it at that. We say thanks to you for taking the time to chat with us, and looking forward to getting lots of pictures and videos, and hopefully, of course, ensure that everybody out there is safe and well under these very difficult conditions.
Absolutely, and thank you very much, and have a happy Christmas and stay healthy.
Thanks, Karin. There we go, folks. Karin Koep, she's a dressage competitor with Western Cape Equestrian. They've just had a fantastic event in Stellenbosch, and it's great to see that our athletes are at least able to compete, although it is under these difficult COVID conditions. We are very happy to see that they're staying active and in touch with each other. Folks, we'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we're carrying on talking about sport in the Western Cape. Back in a sec. Don't go away.